here. Got a blue-white control list here for you today. Yeah, I know we've been playing a lot of control lately on the channel, but control is my favorite archetype, and I uh, I really like recording it. I really like playing it, and I think we have finally gotten to a point in standard where blue-white control is good again. It is competitive and it can actually go toe-to-toe with some of the other decks out there. Um, After rotation last year, blue-white control was in a really bad place, and it's been slowly rebuilding itself over the year. And I think we finally hit that critical point where we have enough good cards to make a list that's actually decent. I don't know if that's what I've got here today. I think mine is a little jankier, just being honest. But let's get into the deck here. So we are a blue-white control deck, draw go, counter spells and removal, with a mill slant. So Space Time Anomaly is going to be our win condition. Space Time Anomaly, 4 mana sorcery spell. Target player mills cards equal to your life total. So preserving our life total or gaining life does matter. So we have slanted the deck a little bit towards that. We've done so by adding 4 copies of Authority of Consuls. Creatures your opponent controls enter tapped, and whenever they enter, you get a life. We've got 2 copies of Beza, so if they have more creatures than us, we get 2 blockers with the fish tokens, so that's a way to preserve life. And also, if we're a lower life total, we're going to get to gain 4 life. If we're down a card, we get to draw a card, so she's a great way of stabilizing the game and delaying. And we have 1 copy of Fumigate. Uh, no one plays this card. It's just sitting there. It was reprinted in Foundations. But yeah, destroy all creatures. You gain 1 life for each creature destroyed this way. Um, I think Ultima's probably better, and the new sweeper that got printed in Space Time Anomaly that exiles all creatures is probably better. But I think specifically in the context of this deck, I think Fumigate is good. You're going to get different results based on the deck you're up against, right? If you are using Fumigate to kill 1 creature, you're probably going to just wish you had Day of Judgment. But if you use it to kill 7, you're going to be pretty happy. I only own 1 Fumigate, so we're only going to run 1 copy today. However, if I was to own more copies, I'd probably go up to 2. I think 2 is a good middle point. Uh, so let's go through the deck as a whole and we'll talk about it. So 4 copies of Authority of Consuls, we already talked about this. Slows our opponent down, gains us life, keeps us in the game. 3 copies of Elspeth's Smite. Uh, Early removal is important for, first of all, preserving HP, and also just the meta right now, right? We've got mono black aggro with the recursion, we've got mono green, we've got goblins. Those are all decks that are very hard for control to beat. Typically, aggro beats control. Um, so it's important to have cards like this that can stop those turn 1 plays, turn 2 plays, and exile them. 2 copies of 3 Steps Ahead. I'll talk about the counter spells. Um, I've reduced what I would normally consider the normal amount of counter spells. I've been noticing, I've been looking at lists of better control players than me and what they're running and how they're dividing their decks up. So, a little bit of something I noticed with their decks is they're running a lot less counter magic. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because standard's so fast that they don't feel it's as good of a play as just removing something. But I'm gonna try it today. I'm gonna take a page out of their book and see how it goes. So that's why we're running just 2. And I decided to go for 3 copies of No More Lies because I wanna get them in the early game, right? I wanna get some advantage in like that turn 2, 3, and 4. Um, yeah, I think we're gonna try and make that side of our game stronger. Moving on, 4 copies of Get Lost. It's a good removal spell. It hits planeswalkers, it hits enchantments. It's a good spell. We're gonna run just 1 copy of Rest in Peace. It's because we're playing best of 1, so I'm kind of trying to hedge our bets and put different tools in the deck just as a 1 of. If we were playing best of 3, I would just throw this in the sideboard and I'd sideboard them in. But this is a good middle way to try and cover our ass without skewing the deck too hard. Because if we put this down when we're playing against mono black, the game's over. It's over. Unless they have a Feed the Swarm or whatever it is that removes enchantments, they're screwed. There's nothing they can do. So it's very good tech against certain decks, so that's why it's here. Consult the star charts. There's nothing to be said here. It's an excellent draw spell at instant speed, which is what we need to find the tools we need to end the game. We've got to keep cards in our hand. That's how control wins, is by card advantage. No More Lies. It's a very good counterspell for 2 mana because it They have to pay 3 rather than 2, which is the normal mana cost, and it exiles the spell, which is relevant in certain matchups. Um, so something I said to myself while I was building this deck is, what are the decks that are very difficult to beat right now? And I said mono black aggro, mono green aggro with the landfall, and goblins. Now, what is something that all of those decks have in common? Typically, they go a little bit wider than most aggro decks. It's not uncommon to see 3 or 4 creatures on the battlefield. So I said, you know what, it's time to dust off the split ups and get them in here. So split up is what I'm going to call a pseudo sweeper. It sweeps the board, but it does have a downside, some context to it. You're not always going to hit everything. But I think with the current state of standard and what is being played, I think it makes sense to run these. So split up is a sorcery, and you get to choose one. You can either destroy all tapped creatures or all untapped creatures. So sometimes it's just going to be like a better Day of Judgment for 3 mana. Sometimes you're going to miss a few, but I think it's worth taking. 4 copies of stock up. Not much to be said here. Good draw spell. It's going to let us find what we need, which is what you need in a control list. 2 copies of Basil. We already talked about this. This is for stabilizing the board and preservation of HP. 2 copies of Day of Judgment. Blue-white control would not be blue-white control without its sweepers. So we got to have it. And finally, our Space Time Anomaly. The reason that the build round of the deck. Target player mills cards equal to your life total. So that is our goal, is to mill our opponent out and just delay the game until they lose. In the lands, normally, oh no, I did go to 26 lands. Okay, yeah, so it's a 26 land deck. Um, we want to be hitting Space Time Anomaly relatively quickly. Like, I don't know if it's realistic to say, oh, we're going to play Space Time Anomaly on turn 4. We might have to stabilize the board first and then play it, because we don't want to take a big hit and lose all our health. But I think this deck is going to play a little bit faster than your average control list. 2 copies of Fountain Port, 2 copies of Demolition Field. Um, yeah, Fountain Port's good for making blockers to preserve your total. Demolition Field for those creature lands. We do have a Restless Anchorage if we need to go that way to end the game. Yeah, that's the list. Let's get into the games. One more thing before we get into the video. If you own any of these Pinnacle Star Cages, you should be running them in this list. I don't own any, so that's why I'm not running them. I only have so many rare wildcards. This is our new temporary lockdown. I actually think it might be better than temporary lockdown in some cases. Yes, it only hits artifacts and creatures, but I think the upside of that 8 mana ability, put each card exiled with this artifact into its owner's graveyard, then create a 2/2 colorless robot creature token for each card put into a graveyard this way, is pretty good. Um, it's always nice to have a win condition or some way to try and close out a game with control, and having that on a piece of removal is awesome. People would probably play this even if it didn't have that line of text on it. So yeah, throw this in the deck if you have them. Probably take out maybe the split ups or something. But yeah, now let's get into the games. All right, game 1 here. Um, so I like our lands. I'm happy with our lands. It's our cards in hand that I'm not too satisfied with because we don't have removal. It's just Day of Judgment. Um, we are going first though, so we can like play Anchorage and then try to get to 3 steps ahead for their turn 2. I think it's okay. Now, if there's some kind of crazy go fast deck, I think we're going to be in trouble, but they play Fountain Port turn 1. That is interesting. I already... Is it crazy that I already know what they're probably trying to play? Uh, I'm thinking... Okay, so what I think they're doing is they're playing mono white with Ugin. Because what this card allows you to do is you get to tap it to put an extra land on the battlefield. And I've seen a few of these decks around. It's probably only like 2. So what we need to focus on is that they're going to play big spells. They're going to play big stuff. Now, I could be getting this wrong, right? I've only seen 2 lands and a creature, but I think that's what they're playing. That's the only time I've ever seen this card played, is in that specific deck. So let's see if we're right. And that is a skill that you have to learn with control, is trying to suss out what your opponent is doing. No, I'm gonna let them have this. It can attack us. I'm actually fine just draw going here. So next turn could be a Hedron Archive. So that's the next thing I'm thinking about is what cards could they have and when are they going to be played? Yeah, I think that's exactly what they're doing. So they have 5 mana available. Now, our deck should be fairly good against theirs. The trick here is going to be we have to be able to hold up counter magic always. We always have to be able to counter their deck. Right now we are under no threat, and that 3 steps ahead in our hand is our ace in the hole. Next turn, we're probably going to stock up and hold up 3 steps ahead. This is kind of what I've been waiting for. Treasure map, put a landmark counter on this artifact. There are 3 more. You can transform it. What does it transform into? Just a land. Okay, that's fine. All of this is fine. This doesn't win them the game. And it doesn't stop me from doing my thing, so they can have it. Okay, so this turn, we can stock up. Yep. And we can still hold open 3 steps ahead. So that's what we're going to do. Oh my goodness, I was clicking on the screen there. Good thing I didn't click too many times. Okay, so they're probably going to play. I think we grab a Star Charts and a land. Get Lost is pretty good too because I think they have Ugin in their deck. We'll go with this. Okay. So we're just kind of waiting for our land count to go up to when we can play Space Time Anomaly and hold up some type of counter or some type of removal. Ugin is not that scary to us because we don't really play permanents that they want to take away. So this is a bad matchup for them. This is where counter spells come in quite good. I know this is a boring game, but this is how you win sometimes. It's just by doing nothing. They're in white, so they can't counter our counter. They can't stop us from doing what they want. They just have to try and do it, and hopefully it gets through. So they are up to. There's a Hedron Archive. If we had 2 counter spells in our hand, I would counter this. Because we don't, I'm gonna let this go through. I would no moralize that in a heartbeat. I think we'll start charts here for two and look for another get lost. We'll see what we get. Stock up's fine. Sometimes that's what you have to do. You just play a draw spell and get another draw spell. Okay, we're gonna start space timing now. And we're gonna tap you. Right, so yeah, we have 6 mana open, yes. Wait, oh, and we're floating a mana. Goodness. Basic mathematics. Um, yep. And yeah, I mean, this is what I would consider sort of a combo deck. I don't know if it is a combo deck. I don't know what this contextually would be. Um, yes, we're gonna counter this. Because this starts making creatures which threatens our life total. So we're going to defend that because our life total is our win condition, in a way. Um, Space Time Anomaly is looking pretty nasty here. We're very close to just ending the game. So that's why I'm going so slow, because I know that if we do this correctly, there's nothing they'll ever be able to do. We're going to stock up here and look for counter magic. There's a 3 steps ahead. Just grab an island, honestly. Yeah, and now we can 3 steps and draw this card and do all that. Another Nexus of Becoming. Yeah, we'll just counter that. We'll draw 2. We can get rid of these Day of Judgments. They're not very useful to us in this matchup. Actually, Elspeth Smite's even more useless. Another thing we can do, a cool thing with star charts, is we can play it. So let's say they play Ugin. We can play it at instant speed and go fish for a counterspell, which is really cool. Oh, they... Of course. Of course, of course. Okay, that's what they're up to. That's cool. Yeah, this card can really catch you sometimes, right? Because you can just warp it in for 4. So you say, oh, they only have 4 mana. They can't play anything big. But this one allows you to put a permanent card on the battlefield equal to the lands you control. So if they had 7 lands there, they could have cheated an Ugin on the field, and we would have looked not very smart. So we're gonna Space Time Anomaly here. This is a bit of a risk. Uh, I think it's a fine risk though. The reason being is just mathematically. So if we play this and then we star charts, the consoles doesn't do anything. So what we're gonna do here, if they play big spells, we're gonna star charts and we're gonna look for No More Lies. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. This is why this card is good, is because when you don't have a counterspell, you can go look for one at instant speed, and it's gonna respond on the stack. Okay, and I think there was one. Yeah, there was one in there. So we would have been able to counter that, and they would have lost. But yeah, there's some good old-fashioned control. I know that game was not very interesting. However, that's what you got to do sometimes to win, right? All right, we are into the next game here. This hand is okay. If we were going first, I would be happy because No More Lies is pretty good when you're going first. Um, Going second here is a little... It's okay. Okay, get lost off the top actually makes me feel a little bit better about that. We'll take a star charts. The 4 blue lands as well stings a little bit. Alright, they have a Scavenging Ooze, so this looks like some type of Golgari, maybe mid-range deck. We will take the 2 here for the No More Lies. This is what you have to do sometimes. So you take the hit, see if they play a creature. If they don't, then you remove. So we're just going to play our removal here. Try and play efficiently. Alright, the Rest in Peace could be quite good here. Sometimes Golgari does play with their graveyard. We're just going to hold up counter spells though. We have No More Lies and 3 steps ahead. We'll go again. Now we're in an even better position because we can start charts if we so choose. I'm totally fine with this. If you want to let me just keep increasing my land count, I will take that all day. We get more powerful as the game goes on. Uh, that's the thing about these types of decks, right? Is the longer the game goes, the higher the probability that your deck wins goes. These decks need lands and they need cards. And our opponent is giving us all of that. That's fine. We'll just kill it. I should have. Okay, so the cool thing is we can actually demo field it. Pretty interesting interaction. And we want a white land. Nice way to fix our mana. I will actually start charts here. We can start looking for our mill spells. Alright, we don't find it. We'll take a consoles, and we'll take another start charts. We'll play Anchorage. We'll play this. And we'll say go. Again, another boring game, but I mean, our opponents they're not going hard, man. That's fine. You can have that. We'll normalize that. Reason being is this is what I was talking about. Why normalize is so good is it's going to exile. Mosswood Dread Knight keeps coming back when you kill it. So now that's the last time we're going to ever have to deal with that. Innkeeper's Talent. That's fine. I used to be a lot more scared of this card in Golgari because the Vraska Planeswalker was in Standard. But now that Vraska isn't here anymore, this card becomes a lot more honest. Alright, and we'll just pass turn. We could be hitting them with Anchorage and trying to win that way, but I don't think it's necessary. And I think it's too risky. We will definitely counter that. If we pay, yeah, if we just do 3, we can start charts, which I think is better than draw discarding. So we're going to do it that way. And there's another Annex. I think we're just going to remove that. It's very important to me that our opponent never gets to... Ooh, that was a bit of a whiff. I guess we'll just take the Get Lost. It's very important that our opponent never is able to get draw engines online. Flood Farm Verge, we don't need that. Well, we can slam the rest in peace now. Because they could be running Deadly Cover-Up, so that's one reason to play it. It's also Golgari. Golgari historically plays with the graveyard all the time. Alright, there's a Beza, so we get life. I think we get life, so it's worth. And we get to draw. Hey, a Fumigate. What's up? A Shyok, okay. So they'll get to do one thing to them. It has Ward 1, that's fine. Oh, they can just ultimate it immediately. That's what they're doing. Oh. You should have ulted it, dude. Why? Why would you do that? You could have ulted it and exiled so many cards, man. Oh, well, I feel bad for our opponent, right? Because target player exiles the top X cards of their library, where X is the total mana of cards you control, and that was sitting at 20. They could have exiled the top 20 cards of our deck, and we would have been down to 17 cards. And then they would have been able to control the board with Ashiok. So I think our opponent made a big error there, and I think if they would have down-ticked Ashiok and did her ultimate, I think they would have won the game. So I don't feel like we really deserve that win, but we won it nonetheless. Okay, we have our opponent going first, and we are on a two-lander. Two-lander is always sketchy, especially when your opponent's going first. It can be quite dangerous. Um, but as I've said before, I am allergic to mulliganing, and I see potential in this hand, so I'm going to keep it. The reason being is we have 2 white pips, which means that any color of mana that we hit will get split up online. Looks like this is mono white life gain, right? We see the Case of the Uneaten Feast, and we see the Plains. Okay, no, actually, they play the Swamp, so this is Sacrifice with a life gain slant. We will do this, and we will rest in peace. We will normalize that, because we don't want them filling their graveyard. We want to find a good time to split up. I'm not too scared right now. We can take a few hits. The worst thing that they do is Bartolome sacrifices Blood Witch. Hit on Sanctifier, that's fine. He can have that. I will, because I'm going to sweep this stuff later, right? I don't care that our opponent's gaining life. He can have 10,000. We're trying to mill him anyway. Yeah, so we'll just play Beza here. Stabilize the board a little bit. Now, if they have a Sephiroth here, we made a huge mistake because he, okay. Now, hopefully, they don't swing. I would love it if they didn't swing. This deck reminds me a lot of the Cat Oven deck. The original Rakdos Cat Oven deck. Maybe some of you have been playing long enough to know that deck. I think we'll split up. Actually, alright, and here's one of the tricks you can do with split up, right? So I almost made a massive mistake there. Hopefully some of you caught me. You swing first. And the reason you do that is that anything left alive will not get hit by split up. So this is what sometimes when split up can actually be better than a normal sweeper. Okay, so he just wants this to die. In that case, I don't even have to play split up. And it doesn't matter that he sacrificed it, really. Like, yes, he gets the Surveil trigger, but we're going to rest in peace him after combat. So we'll go tap, tap, rest in peace. Yep. So he was playing some type of graveyard synergy. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but once he saw that, he knew that the game was over. So there's a good example of the power of rest in peace and why just one copy in the deck can't help you out. When it shows up when you need it, man, it'll get you a win. Alright, we're in game here. This looks like a very keepable hand. Also, Smite's nice. Nice piece of removal, especially when you don't know what you're going up against. I just lost a match, and it's because I kept a very sketchy hand. Even though I said in the intro there are tons of, fast decks that are going to kill you out there, I kept a hand that didn't have removal in the opener, and I think you can guess what happened from there. That card is terrifying. By the way, if you are not familiar with that card, Mendicant, when you're at max speed, you can just pay 1 and get to copy any artifact spell. So if he's playing Simulacrum Synthesizer and he starts doubling those, the game's over. there's no question about it. Okay, so we could draw a card off Beza here. We don't have anything to do on our opponent's turn, so I think it's fine. They might counter it, but that's okay too. I don't really care about the Beza, I just wanted the card. And I'd much rather they counter Beza than one of our better spells. Okay, so this tells us that they are going for artifact synergy. They wouldn't be playing Earthros without it. Or, oh no, it's Uthros, okay. So against artifacts, we need to be able to counter their important spells. So we might have to let things hit the board sometimes. Okay, and he's going to station. I'm gonna let. I'm just not gonna do anything this turn. We have to hold it 3 steps ahead. Either until we deplete them of cards in their hand, or until we know that they Thousand Moons Smithy. Create no solution. I will counter this because we're at 5 mana, so it's a good time to do it. We'll get rid of the Smite. I think it's the least useful card in our hand now. It's only really good in those opening turns of the game. I think we're past that point now. Gonna be seeing some diminishing returns with that spell. Okay, and we do find a 3 steps ahead, which means we can do split up and then do 3 steps ahead. It's another nice thing about running that is you can, if we were to cast Day of Judgment there, we wouldn't have been able to hold up 3 steps. Mana cost does matter, It does matter. Okay, and here's the Space Time Anomaly. The question is, do we drop it now? I think it's no. I think we wait for one more land. Because if they go crazy with Simulacrum Synthesizer, man, oh man, it's over. I am gonna let them do this, actually, because it doesn't do anything immediately, right? They need another piece to turn Caretaker's Talent on. Caretaker's Talent doesn't do anything by itself. It needs some other card, some token, something like that. Okay, and there's a split up. One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay, so we can do Authority here and still hold up 3 steps with the draw discard. I don't know what's going on with these slow games today, guys. I did not intend for these games to be like this. Usually it's guys just slinging spells, slinging creatures out there, but we've run into a lot of slow decks today. A lot of artifact decks too. I think people really like artifacts, and I think a lot of people are very happy that they're good now or strong. White Auracite. If they want to play White Auracite, that's fine. Yeah, they get rid of our consoles, but I don't really care, honestly. It's a good spell, but I'm not spending a 3 steps to protect it, that's for sure. So we're not going to get lost, and the reason is because we give them tokens. Do we care about that though? Because one of the things is, yes, they draw spells, but it's kind of like milling them in a way. Um, I cannot believe how we're not hitting our lands. We've gone through almost 20 cards now, and we've hit 6 lands. And we haven't milled any lands, like we haven't decided not to take any lands. That's fine. I'm going to get lost this now. It will give them draw. I don't like it, but I want to preserve our HP total, and this will start ticking down on our HP. That's fine. Getting a counterspell out of their hand so they're fully tapped out is great. It just changes my plan, but It's going to be fine. So we're going to star charts here. We need to get one land from it because I plan next turn on playing Beza, then playing 3 steps and holding it up, but we need one more land. Oh, I almost clicked my turn. Okay, so we will grab untap land. I think No More Lies is past its prime. I think our opponent has too many lands for it to be good. And just judging by the deck they're playing, I think most of their stuff is pretty low. I think the most expensive thing they're going to have in their deck is like 3 or 4 mana. So I don't think it's super relevant to be having No More Lies in hand. I think it's going to be a dead card a lot of the time. So the reason we did that is to get some life. If we find a second Space Time Anomaly, okay, so he gets to do that. We could counter it. The problem is if they play Simulacrum Synthesizer, we look like a fool. And you know they have it. You know they have it by now. And now we're in a position next turn where we can actually Space Time Anomaly. The problem is they might be holding Counterspell. They've already played 2-3 steps ahead. I think I'm just gonna Day of Judgment here. I don't want a Space Time Anomaly because if they're holding a Counterspell, which I'm 75% sure they are, I don't want this getting countered. If Day of Judgment gets countered, I'm not too upset. So this is like a litmus test. There was no stick, so that tells me they didn't have one. So I could have Space Time Anomaly there. Voyage Home. We're going to counter that. They're only on 2 mana. Simulacrum Synthesizer costs 3. They could play land for turn and Simulacrum Synthesizer, but they didn't have it. I think our opponent felt like we had the lock in place. Okay, next game here. We are going first. So Authority of Consuls will go down immediately. 2 stock ups is not bad. We have lands. I'm going to keep this, I guess. Do I keep this? We could get a lot worse hands, so I'm going to keep it, you know. We'll just stock up and look for what we need. Okay. Yeah, we'll just stock up here. If they counter it, that's fine. I think we'll definitely take Space Time Anomaly. I think I'll take No More Lies as well, actually. Curious what our opponent's playing here. It might be Simulacrum Synthesizer. If it is, that sucks. Because we just tapped out when we would have liked to counterspell it, but... Okay. I actually haven't seen this Planeswalker yet. I've given him a read and everything, but... Okay. So, we could Anomaly now. I want to... While No More Lies is good and strong, I want to use it. Oh, that's a perfect No More Lies. Couldn't have asked for a better opportunity there. Oh my goodness, and we top deck another one. Okay, so if we tap like this, we can actually hold up No More Lies for next turn. This is very good. That put us in a very nice position, and we'll grab a white land. Perfect. So now we have star charts, we have No More Lies, we have plays. Mark it. No, when this creature dies, you create 1 life, draw a card. And he gets to put a 1/1 counter on it. He also gets loyalty counters. Well, we can't counter it anyway. It's also increasing our life total. Yeah, this is fine. Yep, and then we'll counter that. So he'll use his loyalty. We'll do this. Yeah, and we can start charts on their end step. That works for me. They're tapped out. Now's the time when our HP is the highest. They're down to 24 cards. Not a lot of threat on board. We don't have counter magic. If they play something, they play something. There's not much we can do. Okay, they go for clay-fired bricks. So what is his ultimate? You get an emblem at the beginning of combat on your turn. Put 3/1 counters on an artifact you control. If it's not a creature, it becomes a creature. I mean, emblems are pretty good historically. I can't think of an emblem that's bad. We're just gonna keep digging with star charts, looking for our space time anomalies because we're in a position now where we can basically just end the game if we find one. Okay, we do not find one, so we're gonna grab Day of Judgment. I thought we paid 2 for it. That's why I foolishly did that. Scry. Get Lost is actually pretty good. We can pay 4 for this, and I'm gonna do it now. Why is Get Lost is here? Okay, Get Lost is here, and I think Beza's pretty sweet. And we'll kill their Planeswalker before they get to do it again. Our life total isn't really under much threat right now. It could be, but we should be looking through their deck too. The mill gives us a lot of intel. Okay, they have 1 Simulacrum Synthesizer in the bin. That's really unfortunate. So that means like if they have 4 copies, there's 3 copies in the next 22 cards, which is what, like that's a 1 in 7 chance of hitting one off the top. All right, so I think we'll just sweep here. Go Fountain Port Demo, play our sweeper. We're in a good position to. We have 2 Space Time Anomalies, so 1 in 20 chance. We have very good ability to dig through the deck, and it's actually probably less than that because we put a lot of cards on the bottom of the deck using our Consult the Star charts. So we've actually sifted through a lot more of the deck than it looks, because we've played an Impa Call is annoying. Yeah, we've played 2 stock ups and 2 Consult the Star charts, so we've actually dug through a lot more of the deck than it appears. We will Beza. Yeah. We'll tap our colorless. Gain some life. Put another consoles on the board. Yeah, with this amount of consoles and like I know this deck, right? It makes tokens and stuff. It's gonna be very hard for them to get our HP low. Because every time they make a token, we're getting 3 life. And now we have 3 steps ahead to get those nasty simulacrum synthesizers. And there it is. They might have counter magic for it. Cruel Captain. We're just gonna remove them. Get Lost doesn't hit enchantments, so this is the next best thing we can do. Or, pardon me, it doesn't hit artifacts. We're really just hoping and praying that we can top deck into something. Uh, yeah, we'll pass to attackers. We're going to make a fish token. It's only preserving one life, but that's okay. Actually, you know what? I might take the hit and use this for draw. I know that sounds strange because now we're losing even more life, but that's where we're at, right? One space time anomaly and the game's over. Nice. Okay. We're gonna do it. If they have counter magic, they do. But we're gonna try. Okay, we got them. Good game. All right. I hope you enjoyed our control list today. We did quite well. We only lost 2 games, which I edited out. No one wants to watch me get my head beaten over by mono green or something. So yeah, 2 losses, and I wasn't keeping count of how many we won, but 4 or 5 games. And honestly, I think with a little bit of tweaking and some refinement, right, we could have better lands. I think with changing some of the counts of cards, you could probably squeeze out a better win rate. Um, that's something that you would have to do over time, though, right? Play the deck 50 times and change cards as you go, rather than me just playing 10 games and kind of just making a deck and shipping it. Um, so yeah, I think there's even more value to be squeezed out of this deck if you were to willing to commit the time to refining the count of cards. Top performers today were Authority of Consuls. We gained a ton of life with this card. It really kept us in the game, helped us keep our HP total high so we could get the space-time anomalies for maximum value. Beza did really well as well. I mean, it's no surprise she's Mythic Rare and she's been good for a while. She's been good ever since she was printed. Um, Getting that 4 life and a blocker is super good. Uh, yeah, those were the top performers. I actually didn't mind the lower counterspell count. I know we had a few like really slow draw games today. I think that was a little bit abnormal. I think there's a lot more fast decks out there. Like when I check Untapped and stuff and look at like how many aggro decks are out there. I think what we ran into today was quite uncommon. Um, so we were kind of wishing we had more counter spells, but I think in the context of most games, you're going to be much happier having more smites, more get lost sweepers and stuff. Yeah, but that's been today's video. I hope you enjoyed. We're probably also going to, at some point in the future, I'll try to get a different archetype in for our next video. I don't want to make 5 control videos in a row. That's obviously going to bore some of you. But what I would like to do is take our Demir control list and this list and combine them together because we can have that Singularity Rupture sweeper card that mills. We can get Space Time Anomaly in there that mills. We can have, and we'll make an Esper control list and we'll try and make that work. I think that could be really fun. Uh, so yeah, that'll be in the future. Probably not the next video unless I can't think of anything else. But yeah, that's been today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace out.